Big night, big crowd for a big race. The Bristol night race is always special. The track is special. But I was convinced again, or reminded again, that what makes that place special is the fans. And they came out in droves. I thought it was a great night.
Yeah, a huge night. I mean, fans were everywhere. The intros were great to see that, to set it up. And then the racing. I mean, we had a night on Friday night that said, okay, how you going to top this cup, guys? Because that was pretty special. But Saturday night, there's just something different. Yeah, you run 2 races there in a year, and if you can win the first one, that's great. But there's just something great about winning that night race at Bristol.
Really is, and we just see it, the way the race always plays out. I don't know if it's the summer months have already built up on everybody, and you finally get to Bristol, and people are in panic modes trying to go out there and make the playoffs, save a job, or go out there and just win another race. But I was on the edge of my seat watching it, and you know, I'm a huge fan of Matt DiBenedetto, and I thought maybe he was going to get his first career win, but Denny Hamlin, through all the ups and downs, I can't believe how that team fights through a whole race. But at the end of the day, Denny was the quickest at the start of the race, and he was the quickest at the end of it and deserved the win.
Well, I think that's the point. There's a lot of storylines out of Bristol, but I think we can't go any farther than talking about the guy who sat on the pole, worked through some adversity, and went to victory lane. He talked with Rutledge Wood right on the start-finish line.
You know, between my spotter and the crew chief, it just stayed on me to not get anxious and just kind of take my time. I had plenty of time, and I just worked him over, and I knew I didn't want to show him the bottom until I knew I could make the pass, and I ran the top, got the position on the bottom, and finished it. So we had a great car that could move around, and came back from a couple laps down, and here we are.
AJ, how impressive was the drive by Denny Hamlin to recover from that issue of 2 laps down, get the laps back, but then to run Matty D down in those closing laps?
I mean, I don't want to overstate it, but to me, it was one of the best races that Denny Hamlin's ever driven that I've seen. And I've been in the sport for 13 years. I've had to race against him, and when he's at the level that he's at right now, and especially that 11 team, it's hard to beat him every weekend. And we saw at the beginning of the race, he was doing nothing wrong, leading the race, no problems. A couple of lap cars get involved, and he gets right side damage. Well, you're like, okay, well, they fight back from that. They fight back from that. Loose tire, a couple laps down, get back on the lead lap, fighting through that, and then to drive up through the field at the end of the race and be able to make a pass on Matt to go there for the win. I mean, it just shows over the last 2 to 3 months, this team is firing in all cylinders, and Denny Hamlin might be the best driver out there right now.
Well, I think he's perhaps the most calculated. I think, DJ, that's what impressed me the most of what Denny did, is when I really look at those, say, the last 50 laps, the closing laps, is his choices through traffic, his choices through position. Remember, he didn't restart in second. Yeah. He had to work his way past Brad Keselowski, past Chase Elliott. And the precision in which he did that, because you know as well as anyone that a fast car is great, but if you burn up a second here and a second there working through positions, he'll never have that chance. But he was efficient, he was calculated. Every move he chose seemed to be the right move to work through traffic. And even from the loose wheel, the calmness on the radio, very calmly told his crew chief, I think it's on the right. The crew chief says, no, I think it's on the left. Here's what we're going to do. I never heard panic at a place that I guess you should panic. It's Bristol. Yeah. Everyone's panicking. Denny Hamlin's 11 team never panicked.
Yeah, what we've seen is a mature Denny Hamlin, which 5 years ago, that Denny Hamlin would have gone about probably got himself in trouble somewhere along the way trying to work his way back up through there, or burned the tires off of the car and when he got there not be able to make the pass. What impressed me the most was that in his conversation there is that he didn't show his hand to Matt DiBenedetto. He knew what he had in the bank when he got there, that Matt DiBenedetto was going to be up top, and he was going to guard that position, and he knew that he could go back to the bottom. He had seen on his dash that 4 or 5 laps that he had to run down there, his car was a half a tenth to a tenth better per lap. And he held that in the bank until he really needed it right at the very end. And, that's when you put a talented race driver in a very fast race car that's also thinking a lot now and not just driving with the talent, then you've got a very dangerous man. And this guy's been on a mission the last couple of months.
Well, as I stood there in the booth in the closing laps and even through the burnout, I kept asking myself, what has changed? What's different? Denny Hamlin has had a long career, winless last year, and he bounced back for his 4th win this year. And fortunately for me, DJ, you talked to him about just that in victory lane.
We're a different team. I'm a different driver than I was last year and for the first 12 years of my career. There's just, even in 2010, when we won 8 races, I'm not sure we've ever had it going for this long, 2 straight months of race-winning speed every single week. I've been in the sport long enough that I know what I have to do to win a championship. I have been through this. I have failed 12, 13 times at doing this. And so I've...
Well,
A lot of us would like to have failed the way that he's failed. You know, I'm not sure that's appropriate. But he's talking about in not winning a championship yet. When his opportunities came along early in his career, and he talks about winning 8 races in 2010, Denny Hamlin wasn't mentally ready at that point in time to take on everything that goes along with trying to win that. I'm not sure that everybody understands that. You can have a lot of talent, but everything that it takes to get the job done, when it comes time to win a championship against the very best, you have to step it up, and you have to be able to mentally handle everything that comes along, just like he did on Saturday night. When things weren't right, he still knew he had a fast car. They told him to take his time. He had plenty of time to get that done.
I'm going to let you voice my opinion, but this is where I put the Hall of Famer on the spot. Last week, you and I talked about championship favorites. Denny Hamlin's name came up. You had a different opinion a week ago. Has it changed? Has Denny Hamlin become the favorite?
Yeah, one of the reasons I didn't take him last week is because you talked before I did, and so that was one of the reasons I had to take somebody else. But no, I fully believe that Denny Hamlin should be considered the favorite right now. If we went to Homestead this coming week, and I know the odds makers, and they do a great job of putting this out there and know what's going on, but if we were going to Homestead this weekend, you can't tell me that Denny Hamlin shouldn't be the favorite right there. He is the man that is getting everything done right now at this moment. Can they continue that? We'll see. And I know that these other guys have another gear when it comes time to win a championship too, but in my opinion, Denny Hamlin's the man to beat right now.
So, AJ, the man on my left, he's a Hall of Famer who's won a championship. We talk about recovering from a year where everyone expects you to win and he doesn't. You've been a race car driver for a long time. You've felt the ups and downs. How difficult is it to bounce back from a down year and have a year like this?
You know, something that really stands out to me about Denny Hamlin right now, and he talked about it a little bit, just saying that he's a different race car driver. I always felt like, and this is tough to do, when you're put up against Kyle Busch for most of your career, because they've been teammates for a long time now, Denny always wanted to be the man. Like, Kyle's winning all these races, I want to be the man. Even when Denny was winning all the races, it still seemed like it's like, I don't know, you're still maybe not the man. You can't win the championship. But it really seems like after last year, not winning a race, it's like he took a step back. And then you have Martin Truex Jr. coming in with Cole Pern. That just combination, and it's like almost put him back another level. But instead of like pushing too hard, it's like he kind of went to a different gear and said, you know what, I'm just going to do me now. I'm going to go out there, focus on how to be better, and they go out there and win the Daytona 500, which, let's call it what it is. Dale, you've won it. It relaxes you a lot more. It's the biggest race of the year. It's the first race of the year. Automatically locks you in the playoffs now. But really, since then, it just seems like you hear at times during the year, Kyle Busch, he's the man to beat. We've seen Martin Truex Jr. Now he's the man to beat. While Denny Hamlin and that team is just like, we're going to stay quiet. We're going to go do our own thing. And now we're starting to see it. 4 wins. And he could easily be 6 wins over the last couple of weeks. And he's just going out there and focusing on how to be better. And he's dangerous right now. I mean, I agree with you. If you go to Homestead tomorrow, how do you not pick Denny Hamlin? So it's going to be fun to see the way the last couple of races play out. Then you really start the playoff run and see who can shift the gear and what team can really focus on those 10 races and nailing all of them.
I think change this year has driven a lot of drivers into frustration. You hear a lot of very talented race car drivers frustrated with, name it, the blocking, the challenges of the new races. They disagree with, should this be sprayed on the track? Should all of these conversations I keep hearing and people voicing their opinion. Denny Hamlin has been surprisingly quiet. He goes on Twitter here or there and has an opinion, but on the radio, in his office of the race car, in the office of the garage area, I hear very little out of Denny Hamlin other than what he needs to tell the right people to make his car better. I think that makes Denny Hamlin more dangerous. I think he becomes more calculated. He's way more mature, as you mentioned. I perhaps have a harder time getting Denny to Miami than I do winning a championship in Miami. I think if you line them up there right now, Denny Hamlin is without a doubt my favorite. But the playoffs is a very windy road. And there's a lot of hurdles along the way. But those bonus points always help. So
for sure.
It was a big night for Denny Hamlin, but we have a big show ahead.